So today is the day. It is the time where I will be starting all of the new archetypes out of the newest set for the Zenkai series, which is the Dawn of the Z Legends, which is kind of dramatic for no reason. But that is Dragon Ball. And today we are going to start with Master Roshi, or the entire Turtle School, which includes Krillin, Goku, Master Roshi, and Yamcha. Pretty wild, honestly. My first impression is that it is one of those decks that kind of got through in to the set as a pretty good archetype and actually introduced a good amount of decent green cards. You know, I think they're all are pretty decent, but there are a few downfalls to the deck, which kind of leans itself to be not that great, or at least less competitive than the other decks that are being introduced. I think Master Roshi, or at least this archetype, sort of got introduced first, and it gradually got worse as the other archetypes like Gogeta, Shenron, King Piccolo, etc. all got revealed. Let's talk about the leader for a little bit. And you basically start out as Master Roshi. You get to attack and draw one, and only if you are attacking a leader in unison, and then you get to take one card out of your life. You get to awaken with 4 or less life and draw 2, and the alternative awaken is that if you have 3 or more Turtle School cards with 3 or more energy, you get to flip it over. So I guess it's not too bad. You get to awaken early, but majority of the time you're swinging quite a lot anyway, and by the time you do have the 3 or more in play, you're at 4 or less life, so it's kind of lame that that is the case most of the time. I wish that this had any Turtle School card in your battle area. 3 is a lot to ask for, because you're basically, as we go through it, you're gonna have to swing to a lot of things and pay that energy, and it's not really much of an alternate awakening. I guess this is good when the opponent is not attacking your leader very much, but again, you're going to be taking life in order to get that extra draw. You do start with the training area field card, which we'll go over in a second. When you do awaken, you gain a good amount of traits. You do have Goku, Krillin, Yamcha, and Master Roshi in your name, and then the special traits, instead of Earthling and Turtle School, you also gain World Tournament and Saiyan, which is pretty cool, because now you have all of the Saiyan support, which is probably the biggest trait that you can have, and then all of the old World Tournament support, which for me, I'm a cheeky player, I like to add cheeky stuff to that. The backside, you get to swing and draw, and then you get a 5k combo from your drop, which is specifying the green Turtle School. It can be any of the, 0-5s. It's a little bit weird in this, especially really any of the Z decks that do this, because there are other effects like leaders and battle cards that do it, where you want the Z energy, as in you want to combo a green 5k, but most of the time you just want it in your energy and not in your drop. So most of the time, I think what you can do is combo 2 at a certain point, which is again a little bit weird, and then choose one to go into your Z energy, and then when you swing on the backside, you get to use that and put that into your Z energy instead. There is also an activate battle, which can be used on defense and offense. I used to be an idiot and thought it was a choose one of your Turtle Schools, which makes a little bit more sense. Like if you choose one of your battle cards and then place it in a drop area, but no, it is the field card we'll take a look at in a second, where you place it in a drop area, and then for each Turtle School with a different name, you get 5k and double strike for the battle. So on defense, you can go up to like 25 pretty easily, or even more, or on offense, you can use Feet Kamehameha and then double strike and then go for like game that way. Okay, let's talk about the field card real quick. So basically, the activate main is that you bottom deck a card, and then you get to play one of these 1-drops, and the Krillin draws, the Goku looks at the top 3 and gets a Turtle School card, and then the Yamcha looks at the top 5 and gets a Turtle School card. I wish these guys looked for unison too, but turns out they don't. And then the other side of it is that you get to play up to 2 of the Turtle School boys here, and a cost of 1, and then play on their opponent's field without their skills, because obviously they'll be drawing otherwise. And then you can't play non-World Tournament or Turtle School cards for the duration of the turn, battle cards that is. And this is interesting because now on your end, you get to combo these guys off, but they are 1Ks on the battle area, or in the battle area. It's the same thing for your opponent, so it is equally as annoying, because if you are going 20k and you're trying to boost it up to like 25, you're only getting 21 or 22 if you do multiple, but it is nice for Z energy. but you kind of need these guys on field because you're going to need them for the skills improved cards, where basically you swing into the ones that are played in rest mode on their field with the ones that you play for free, or even other cards like your other battle cards basically. And if it's KO'd by a card, you get to pay one. This one requires 3 or more energy, but these two do not. You replace the character that it is. So the Krillin goes into the 1-drop. The 1-drop goes in place into the drop area, and you get to play the Krillin for 1 energy. And it's the same thing for the Goku and the Yamcha. These guys replaces itself by drawing when they're played, but Krillin does not. And that is because he is a 20k dual attacker with critical, and they get to pitch 1 if it is countered when this is attacking, which is pretty nice because, I mean, they're basically losing a card either way. They're losing 2 cards that they counter, and they're losing 1 card by either comboing out or taking the critical. So it works out. These guys are cool because they don't have energy requirements like the Krillin is a 3 or more. This restands, and they have to discard 1, the Goku that is. So you get 2 attacks and get to remove something on their field, which is why you have 2. So if you're swinging with the Goku on one of them, when you place in the rest mode, you swing at another one with the Goku afterwards, so that way they pitch 1 and gets to restand to swing at a unison or one of their leaders. Yamcha is okay. I mean, he is the one where you get to pop something at, I believe, 4 or 5 or less. I really don't play him too much, but I do have him as another combo piece, so that way I can use my leader effect later on. And he also doesn't have an energy restriction, so in a pinch, you could just put out the Yamcha as bait, you swing into him, and then you get to draw off of him afterwards, if that is the case. I always like to say that this deck is pretty fun with a few decent cards. These are 2 of them. So Fated Rival and Piccolo, and as well as Goku, are really quite good. And the reason why is because this guy has double strike and barrier. Gets to evolve on top of the childhood Goku, which you never really want to. But you get to pop something without barrier, or with or without barrier, I should say. And then you get to pay 2 green energy when you have 3 or more energy, and you get to place 1 of your Saiyan, Earthling, or green Namekian cards from your Z energy at the bottom of owner's deck, which is nice because if you do combo off of those 1-drops on the field, you get to play this from your hand. And now you have the ability to use your field card and play it from the bottom of your deck afterwards. So it all works out. This guy being a 2-cost 30k double striker is awesome, and he is pretty generic, which kind of lends this deck to be not that great, because if this was like more restricted to this leader, I would say, yeah, this deck is pretty good, because now I can look at other green decks like King Piccolo and just play the Fated Rival stuff instead, because you can play the Fated Rival Piccolo. So he has dual attack. He has an auto where they have to pitch every time that he attacks. So basically 2 cards after the 2 swings. And he's a 25k for 1 energy, because if you have the Goku Fated Rival, you get to pay 1 and you get to remove unisons based on your Z energy. So every Z energy you have, you remove 1 marker, which has been super clutch against like blue unisons, the new Gogeta unison that pluses 2, etc. So I mean, it's really, really good. I expect that this Piccolo, hopefully, and this Goku most likely, will be played in most, if not all, green decks going forward. We do also have some support cards, which they're all right. The Urine is pretty cool. The name is not that great, I gotta say, but not Bandai's fault. That is Dragon Ball's fault. She has Empower 4, which is okay. If you have 5 or more markers, basically if you have a 4-cost unison, or if you're replacing herself after a couple turns, you get to pop something afterwards. And then activate main, +2, choose 1 of your green battle cards, energy cost of 2 or less, and gains 5k. So you basically get a free combo power for one of your 1-drops that swing into the other 1-drop on the other side. So 9k to 4k, most people are just not going to combo, and it's really easy for you to just have that proc off for the bigger 4 or 3 and 5 drops, Krillins and Gokus and Yamchas, you know which one. And basically the plan is to play this turn 1, you get to 3 markers, turn 2, you get to 5 markers, and you get to play it itself afterwards in order to pop something if you really wanted to. and then you get to get 5k and double strike for your leader if you -4, which most of the time is just not going to happen. GT is really cool because it is a god ceiling for green. If your leader card is Son Goku, that is, for 2 or less, that is. So it's really not that much of a god ceiling. Basically, you play this card, instead of being displayed, it gets placed and drop instead. And then the 2 costs is the same thing, basically. So you play it, it gets sent to the drop, and then the 2 or less is not played. And basically this is a 1 cost in this deck if your leader is a turtle school. If you do play this for 1, you can look at the top 7 and find your fatal rival or one of the other Gokus that you might want. As far as the Z deck goes, there's a little bit of a support for 3. I don't think this is particularly good. I wish this was a 2 cost because you're paying effectively 2 costs or 2 energy to play out the 1 drop and then play out another 1 drop afterwards. So I don't really see the point of this being 3 costs. If it only gets out 1, basically. So if your opponent has 3 or more energy, you place 1 turtle school card from your Z energy owner's drop area, and then you play up to 1 green turtle school with 20k, doesn't have Master Roshi, and you haven't played this turn, for the deck, and then with the keyword skills negated for the duration of the turn. So I just put this in the Z deck because just like, why not? But this is not really much of a good card. At least it has a deflect. All right, here's some other cool cards you could play with the deck. Surprise Attack Frieza is an awesome card in this deck because you're obviously going to be getting it off pretty easily. But having 10k, 1 cost 10ks in a deck, that's kind of a little awkward anyway. I don't really like it. Plus, I didn't really find the room for it. So if you can't find room for Surprise Attack Frieza and put it at a 2, maybe not a 3, but still, well, not bad idea. It's just a free 15k critical. Free Kamehameha is live on the Awaken side, and you're gonna be awakened pretty much all the time, pretty easily. So you get the critical and potentially the double strike on the activate battle. So double strike critical 15k already is great. I've used it before and it has been pretty clutch, like put it 3 to 1. So that way they can't token negate and then just go for game afterwards. Play by Play Pro is cool because it's the hard negates. And if you do have the big boys, the skills improved, or the fated rivals out on the field, you get to draw 2 if you just pay 1. So not too bad. And it's nice Z energy as well for the future. So you can always just combo it off and it's just not that big of a deal. Hit is pretty cool because he is a dual attacker barrier. You get to pay 2 after you do all of this stuff. I think it's all right. I've never procced him off. I've always used everything else, but what I will say is that because you have this auto and all the other autos, you get to basically choose the autos as it goes. So like as soon as you have this in the combo area, and then you have the other things in your hand, and then when your green battle card attacks and KOs opponent's battle card, if you go back to the other boys, these guys are autos too, you can just proc off all of them in your hand. So if you have the energy, you can get the hit out, you can get the skills improved out, and now you have a bunch of battle cards to swing with. He is cool because he has dual attack and barrier, like I mentioned, and then if it's in rest mode, their opponent attacks, they choose 2 cards in their hand. If they do, negate the attack. Or if they don't, sorry, negate the attack, and they can't the opponent can't attack for the turn. So obviously they're just going to be swinging and choosing 2. But there is a lot of barrier hate. Just ask any deck, like the new Vegito deck. Like that's a really good prime example of why barrier isn't anything anymore. But it is only 2 energy. But it is on your turn. If this was on their turn, wouldn't be too bad. There are a couple shenanigans you can use. So like the Son Goku's basically the same text where your battle card KO something, you get to play this from your combo area, and they get to KO something, or they get to pitch something, and he's a double strike 20k for 1. And then that means you can play the Piccolo, one of my favorite cards ever, Special Beam Cannon, and then you get to pop something ignoring barrier afterwards as well, and as well as pitching 2, or just pop something else. I haven't really had too much use of these cards. Maybe if the format really calls for it, but I really don't see it happening. Limitless Power, I've procced it off once, which is why it's a 1 of. That's pretty much it. Here's the list I have been playing. It's not perfect, but it is something. We do have 4 of the Goku and Krillins because I have been playing those quite a lot as far as the skills improved boys. And then the trainings beginning, Yamcha is pretty much what I've been placing on the opponent's area to swing into. 3 of 3 of the Fated Rivals is about right, because you basically want to see these guys as soon as possible. I will shout out Kevin Rooks, our local, and as well as Jaden. They have been playing this deck quite a lot, and I'm sure of it. I am sure of it. They skipped over to the deck list, and then now in the comments furiously typing or messaging me. But I am still playing Demigra. I am not playing the World Tournament boys. I probably would recommend to play it if there wasn't already my Frieza to board wipe. Basically, if you the Goku and as well as the TN, where the Goku takes a life and the TN can kill 5 or less or KO 5 or less, which is nice for the play-by-play pro, but it just felt weird later into the game. I just didn't really like it, so I kind of focused on all of the other archetypal stuff. And like I said, Fated Rivals is really good. The super combos, nothing too far out in the spectrum of green good stuff, but like I said, Golden Frieza is really good with Demigra, because later on you're just gonna want to end the game with Frieza or Fated Rivals here. These guys being a 1 cost is nice. The skills improved. It's really just for Z energy, and like I said, in a pinch you can play the Yamcha and then play this guy out. The Deity's Wrath is nice because Krillin is a 5 cost. The Piccolo is a 4 cost with the 1 cost for free. The 6 costs are a little weird, and obviously the charismatic villain is going to be the best target for Deity's Wrath. So there you go. We do play Pan as a secret, but you can probably, I'm experimenting with the Majin Buu and as well as the Xeno Buu, right? But Pain is just nice because it just affects their battle cards, and you're gonna have 4 or more on your end pretty easily. So there you go. There is the Turtle School. I probably missed a couple things, but honestly, I don't really see this deck topping or being competitive, or really just having too much of appearance. I think it's okay. I think the deck is okay. I think the preferred green deck is probably King Piccolo, and as well as Gotenks. Gotenks and King Piccolo are the next 2 that I want to do, and then of course the new Trunks and as well as the new yellow Goku. So if you have a preference, go ahead and comment below. Subscribe if you are new. There are a good chunk of you who are still not subscribed but still watching my videos. I do appreciate you watching anyway. And then yeah, I'll see you in the next one.